Whirlwinds of danger are raging around us, o'erwhelming forces of darkness assail. Still in the fight, see advancing before us, red flag of liberty that yet shall prevail. And forward, ye workers, freedom awaits you, o'er all the world, on the land and the sea. On with the fight for the cause of humanity. March, march, ye toilers, and the world shall be free. People of all lands in hunger are calling. Shall we be silent to their sorrow and woe?
Let's give a welcome to the next mayor of Forest Hills. Patty DeMarco is here. She ran hard and won the Democratic nomination, and she'll be standing for election in the fall. So welcome aboard, Patty. And real pleased to see friends and comrades from the trade union movement. Neal's family is a political one, and Neal's wife, Lisa Frank, has been in the city administration and helping folks deal with neighborhoods that are in need of housing and workers that are in need of unions. And also the former president of SEIU 1199P, Tom DeBruyne, is here, and his wife Linda is here. We're really pleased. And I can't believe it, but Neal and Lisa have a son who's like a master's from Princeton. Here he is. Oh, I forgot his name. I'm sorry. Good. And we're really looking forward to the nurses that are organizing at McGee. They're gonna speak a little bit after Neal speaks. And for those of you that are coming to bring your musical skills, we have the labor choir here, and we have the Raging Grannies. They're going to be. So let me welcome you to the historic pump house. This is the only remaining building that existed back in 1892. It is the site of the Battle of Homestead in 1892, and today, July 6th, is the 133rd anniversary. And right here on the banks of the Mon, the battle commenced for a day. I'm not gonna go into its details. I'd love to, but we really don't have time for all of that. You can read about it in the interpretive sign outside, and also, which is really enlightening, the actual statement of the amalgamated committee on the strike that was produced at the time. That's in the brass-plated plaque out there. You should read about it, because they had an idea that workers have from time to time, and that is that if they're working hard at work, they should have a share of the profits. And that was their idea, and it makes sense to workers because they couldn't do it without us. Right. Now, 4 years ago, we asked County Council, our friends on County Council, Paul Kraus and Anita Brizio, if they would, did they know about the Battle of Homestead and that the anniversary was coming up? And they were moved to make a proclamation about it. And this tells us all we need to know about the Battle of Homestead. It's a great proclamation, so if you bear with me with all the whereases, I think you'll find it's pretty historical as well. So, County Council, and there's their gold star. Whereas the Homestead Steel Strike, including the July 6, 1892 battle at the historic pump house in Munhall, is arguably the most famous and consequential struggle in American labor history. And whereas 3,000 workers working under a union contract from 1889 to 1892 helped build and then operate what was among the most productive and revolutionary steel mills in the world, combining both Bessemer and open hearth technologies. And whereas in Homestead, a town founded in 1881 to serve the needs of a rapidly expanding steel industry, several thousand townspeople and workers asserted a certain property right to their jobs and took up arms in defense of their employment. And whereas a force of 300 Pinkerton agents armed with Winchester repeating rifles hired by Henry Clay Frick to assert the property rights of Carnegie Steel, they failed in their attempt to land on the banks of the Monongahela, and following a gun battle where 7 workers and 3 Pinkerton agents were killed, they surrendered to the Union and town leaders. And whereas under the Union contract, workers had a strong voice on the job, a negotiated share of productivity and profit, hours that were determined by work function and negotiation, Sundays and holidays off, as well as control over the political right of the town through free elections. And whereas following the breaking of the Union, a lower half of the workforce worked from 72 to 84 hours a week with drastically reduced pay, a swing shift was also imposed that severed workers from the political life of the town, and many subjected to the brutal long term, a 24-hour shift every other week, as time off for weekends and holidays was virtually abolished. And whereas the 1892 Battle of Homestead established the dominance of the American system of employment at will, where both collective and individual rights of workers were completely subjugated to the will of corporate power and private ownership. No power to bargain, negotiate, or even speak until the United Steelworkers gained a contract 45 years later in 1937. Now, this sounds, how could the workers have won on the Battle of Homestead on this day 133 years ago, but not be able to win the strike? And the answer is that Governor Pattison, the Democratic governor at the time of Pennsylvania, got a call from Frick and Carnegie's corporations and decided to order the entire state National Guard here to watch over the mill and prohibit the union workers from prohibiting other people to come and work, as they did during the Battle of Homestead. 8,000 soldiers were brought here, and those soldiers initially were thought by some of the workers that they would protect their rights for the job. They were under strong orders, kind of like the ICE people today. They're going to do whatever they have to do. And those soldiers let the scabs come in so that the mill could operate. And ultimately, the strike was lost and ended in October of 1892 that year. Many workers were arrested, supposedly, and charged with crimes, but no workers or union leaders or others were ever convicted for striking. And many workers had to find other jobs because they were blacklisted. So, now, therefore, be it resolved that we, Anita Prizio, Paul Klein, and all members of council do hereby recognize July 6th, this is 2023, as the 131st anniversary of the Battle of Homestead, and encourage citizens to discuss the importance of organized labor in reducing extreme economic inequality, to think about society's need for workers' skills, intelligence, and participation to achieve sustainable and useful employment, and to understand the centrality of both free speech and concerted activity to rebuild productive and healthy communities. In witness whereof they have herewith caused the seal of the County of Allegheny to be affixed onto this document. So that was the document of history. So I, more than ever today, looking back on the last 4 or 5 months, we need our unions even more. We need to understand that we have the power, they have the money, but we have the power. And in much of the work that we do in labor history, the Battle of Homestead Foundation, it is our hope that the simple lessons of asserting equality, asserting democracy, arguing for a voice for everyone, and protection for everyone who seeks liberty and justice in our country. And we hope that if you're interested and can want to help, and that you would get a membership form from the table over there and sign up. In return, you can have some new fellowship with a bunch of geezers, but also some new people, and have a good time. If you're around at 8 o'clock in the morning on every Wednesday, come to the Eaton Park and have breakfast with us. And we also have a session, a discussion session, lasts about an hour and a half. It's on Zoom. We have members in Liverpool, England, Boston, Washington, D.C. that tune in on Zoom and participate, and they're happy. So thank you very much. Now I'm pleased to introduce Neal Bisno. SEIU has had a tremendous influence on the labor movement. I'm proud to say that my president and my boss, Rosemary Trump, was a wonderful boss and a militant one that supported progressive movements and was so important to the ability of the labor movement to have cultural events, to have, frankly, the support from the Catholic Church, and to have Jack O'Malley as our labor priest, the priest of the Labor Council. And I'm pleased to introduce Neal, who's going to talk about labor history and about union movement. Neal, welcome aboard here. Thank
you, John. I am really honored and excited to be here for a lot of reasons. This site, this building is really a touchstone for me personally. I ride my bike around town quite a bit, and I ride my bike here from where I live on the north side very regularly, including most often on the 4th of July weekend when I'm around, really to reflect on what happened here and pay homage to those who lost their lives and think about what it means for us today. And I really want to take a moment to just appreciate the Battle of Homestead Foundation. If folks could give it up for the board of the Battle of Homestead Foundation. I love the credo, preserving and interpreting a people's history. And in a city where we live, where it seems like everything is named after a Carnegie or a Frick, or maybe a Heinz, it is really important to tell the story of this battle and of labor history and the working people who truly have made this community what it is for generations. As John mentioned, I am with SEIU. I'm a proud international executive vice president of SEIU. And as John mentioned, there are many SEIUers in the room with us, including John himself, longtime leader of SEIU Local 585, former president of Local 585, Rose Trump, former president of Healthcare PA, Tom DeBruin, and Cookie DeBruin, who worked in the union for a long time. So it's great to see a lot of old friends. And my story, I've been a union organizer and union leader for 36 years. I have lived in Pittsburgh and worked here in the labor movement since 1995, so most of those 36 years. I actually was privileged to serve myself as the president of SEIU Healthcare Pennsylvania after Tom and before the current president, Matt Yarnell. and I became a National Union officer in 2016. And I've been an officer at the National Union ever since. So I have to confess that in all of those years in the labor movement, there have been a lot of days where the prospect of progress seemed kind of daunting. I don't know if folks have had that experience. And frankly, hopefulness for the future seemed more like an act of faith than maybe anything based on any empirical evidence. And of course, we know the story of worker struggle in America has not always been an upward trajectory of success. There have been many peaks, but also many valleys, many exhilarating victories, and also many, like what we mark here today, many painful defeats along the way. But as I think about it, I take heart by the fact that across the centuries and across the country, even across the world, the yearning for freedom and for self-determination has been a constant. Working people just don't give up. And in Pittsburgh, perhaps nowhere is that determination for justice and dignity for working people more evident than in the building that we're meeting in at this site. So I'd just like to share a few personal reflections about the lessons of the struggle here in 1892 for today, and then a little bit about the state of the labor movement and maybe the state of the country today and how we might apply some of those lessons to the challenges that we face, which, as we know, are pretty existential. For me, there's at least three sort of themes of the Homestead struggle that John described that echo across the decades and offer some insights. I'll put them in the category of immigration, race, and democracy. So let's start with immigration. It's important to remember that the Homestead steelworkers who fought and died here were overwhelmingly immigrant workers, largely from Southern and Eastern Europe at the time. 6 of the 7 Homestead martyrs that John just spoke of were immigrant workers. John Morris was Welsh. Peter Ferris was Slovak. Joseph Sotek was Hungarian. Silas Wayne was from England. Henry Striegel was German-born. And Thomas Weldon was Irish. As an aside, the only Homestead martyr who was U.S.-born was a striker by the name of George Rudder, whose tragic death was particularly poignant in its own way, at least to me. Rudder was a Civil War veteran who survived the Battle of Antietam, only to be shot and killed by agents of the Carnegie Steel Company 29 years later. So back to the immigrants. Let's be clear. The overwhelmingly immigrant workers of Homestead came to the United States for the very same reason that immigrant families from all over the world continue to come to the United States, fleeing civil war, fleeing violence and tyranny and poverty. By the way, these immigrants didn't come the right way, as some particularly white Americans like to say these days. They got here however they damn could. And many of us in this room, including myself, are descended ourselves from immigrants who came here from someplace else in search of freedom and a better life. Those generations of immigrant Americans were often met with bigotry and animus, calls for their exclusion and removal. And it's crucial for us to recall that history, in my view, as we experience an outrageous and toxic villainization of immigrants in the United States today. And John alluded to them: the menacing ICE raids, unjust and harmful detentions, and unlawful in most cases, the denial of basic constitutional and human rights. We've got to remember that immigrant steel workers, alongside immigrant garment workers and railroad workers and farm workers and janitors and care workers and so many others, have both fueled this country's progress and have continuously led the labor movement and built the labor movement, and they continue to do so today. Ramesa Öztürk, the Tufts University graduate student worker detained by masked ICE agents on her way to Ramadan services, is an SEIU member. Kilmar Abrego Garcia, who was put on a plane illegally and wrongfully imprisoned in one of the most notorious prisons in the world in El Salvador, is a union apprentice in the building trades. When previous generations of immigrant Americans were scapegoated and rounded up because of bigotry and xenophobia, other Americans in their day stood up. They stood up for them, they defended the rule of law, they demanded and won immigrant justice. And so as I think about the immigrant workers who toiled in this mill on the site here and fought and died in the Battle of Homestead, I think it calls us to do the same today, to stand up for immigrants from wherever they may be, however they got here, and to win justice for immigrants in this country. So another important aspect of the events of 1892 that bestows lessons for today is race. Some of us may be a little surprised to learn that race played a significant role in the struggle here in Homestead, but it did. So let's talk about that. So for much of the latter part of the 1890s, or 1800s I should say, black workers were largely excluded from employment in the steel mills, like here in Homestead, and from the union. Their primary means of securing steel jobs was as strikebreakers during labor disputes. And 1892 was no exception, as the Carnegie Steel Company brought black workers to operate the mill during the strike. In one of the ugliest episodes of the Homestead struggle, white union members violently beset black strikebreakers, an attack that ended with calls for blacks to be lynched. Racism in Homestead and in steel, pernicious and deeply wrong then and now, served the boss's purposes, though, as it always has, as a means of dividing working class people from one another and breaking their power. And we know, of course, as John just described, how this Homestead struggle ended in 1892 in a devastating defeat for the members of the Amalgamated Association, which was the name of the union at the time. But it's just as important to recall how steel workers eventually succeeded in the ways John also just described in winning the union, in turning steel jobs into good union jobs, by committing themselves through the Steel Workers Organizing Committee, or SWOC, and the CIO, to organizing all workers, skilled and unskilled, black and white. Steel workers ultimately won and built the middle class of Western Pennsylvania as we know it in the last century, choosing with intentionality cross-racial solidarity. Now, the middle class they built was far from truly inclusive, and it took decades of struggle by black steel workers to overcome persistent discrimination and relegation to the worst, most dangerous jobs in the industry. Many of them, by the way, across the river at the Kerry furnaces. But the power of cross-racial organizing and taking on corporate control here in Homestead and elsewhere was transformative. So why is all that important today? I'll give you one take. While we commemorate the Battle of Homestead 133 years ago, we are but 5 years removed from the murder of George Floyd in Minneapolis, an event that sparked what appeared to be, at the time and in the years following, a long overdue moment of reckoning with the United States history of racism and anti-black structural racism. I say appeared to, but in fact, as we know, it has given way to a sustained assault on history, especially black history, and on the limited progress that we've made as a nation toward racial justice. As we reflect on the forces that shaped the outcome here in Homestead and its aftermath, we must recognize that we do our community and our nation a deep disservice by erasing or eliding our history, even the ugly history. Rather than retreating from our commitment to racial justice in this moment of all moments, it's time to double down on that commitment. Because we have learned through experience over and over again, including right here in Homestead, that there can be no economic justice without racial justice, and vice versa. Finally, Homestead and democracy. You know, John mentioned the statement out on the plaque, which I really encourage everyone to read in full. I have many times, often on my bike rides over here. It's called Address to the Public, and it was issued by the Homestead Strike Committee in 1892. as I take it, really to explain to the public what the strike was about and to appeal for support, and why what was happening here in Homestead mattered not just to the thousands of workers on strike, but really to the whole country. And I just want to read it in part. Quote, "The most evident characteristic of our time and country is the phenomenon of industrial centralization, which is putting the control of our great national industries into the hands of one or a few men, and giving these men an enormous and despotic power over the lives and fortunes of their employees and subordinates. In other words, the great mass of the people. It is a power which eviscerates our national constitution and our common law, a power which, though expressed in terms of current speech as the right of employers to manage their businesses to suit themselves, is coming to mean, in effect, nothing less than the right to manage the country to suit themselves. Therefore, the committee desires to express to the public its firm belief that it is our duty as American citizens to resist by every legal and ordinary means the unconstitutional, anarchic, and revolutionary policy of the Carnegie Company, which seems to evince a contempt for public and private interests and a disdain for the public conscience." I don't know about you, but I feel like those words could have been written yesterday. And the words and analysis of the Homestead workers, to me, couldn't resonate any more powerfully today. In 2025, as we sit here, the richest 1% of the US population, 1%, owns 31% of the wealth, while the, quote, bottom half of the country owns just 2%. 2%. Over 9 out of 10 workers in America have no union, and therefore have little power to counter the greed of the corporations whose profits, in fact, they make possible. Who of us can forget the image on January 20th this year of 5 of the richest men in the world standing in the front row of the inauguration of a billionaire president, standing in front of the cabinet, tellingly. We are no doubt living through a period of authoritarianism and oligarchy accelerating that mirrors that which confronted the Homestead strikers in 1892. In fact, those statistics mirror very much the way the world looked back in the 1890s. And John mentioned the National Guard. Just as the Homestead strikers faced the full force of the military in the form of the Pennsylvania National Guard, which arrived, as John mentioned, on July 12th, 6 days after the battle, they declared martial law, and they ultimately broke the strike. The right of working people to protest nonviolently in communities like Los Angeles are being suppressed as we speak by ICE agents, some of whom violently arrested SEIU union leader and my friend David Huerta just a few weeks ago, and by National Guard troops and Marines deployed by the federal government against overwhelmingly peaceful protesters inside the borders of the United States. From the administration's effort to strip over 1 million federal workers of their union, some of us remember the PATCO strike, the air traffic controller strike. I think that was 17,000 workers or something like that who lost the union in that struggle. Trump's trying to wipe out the union for 1 million federal workers. Trying to gut the National Labor Relations Board. DOGE. Lawsuits being led by Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos aiming to declare the National Labor Relations Act itself unconstitutional. To the attacks on universities and on the arts, the oligarchs and their allies in the White House and in Congress are indeed, in the words of the Homestead strikers, in my view, exercising an enormous and despotic power over the lives and fortunes of the great mass of the people. And of course, just 2 days ago, on the 4th of July, no less, we know the president signed the big, ugly bill that will cut life-saving health care and nutritional assistance from millions of working-class Americans and double down on mass deportations and detentions, all to pay for enormous tax cuts for the ultra-wealthy. But as we experience all of these horrors and others, I'm going to make the case that there are many reasons for us to feel hope, even excitement about the future. And I'm going to introduce you to a couple people in just a moment who I think can help us feel some hope. especially if we take to heart the Homestead strikers' call, that it was our duty as Americans to stand up in any way possible to greed and to authoritarianism. Across the country, to get to today, workers are striking and organizing on a scale unlike I've seen in my nearly 40 years in the labor movement. Auto workers a few years ago, healthcare workers at Kaiser, the largest healthcare strike in the history of the country, Hollywood actors, university staff, public workers in Philadelphia right now. So many others are standing up to organize and fight. To give you a little sort of a landscape of worker organizing, at least in SEIU, over 10,000, this to me is mind-boggling, 10,000 Starbucks workers in 500 stores have won the union just in the last few years. Talk about an iconic 21st century company. We're all Starbucks customers. Last year, 60,000 Uber and Lyft drivers in Massachusetts, most of them immigrant workers, passed a referendum securing rideshare drivers' first ever legal right to form a union in the history of the country. Earlier this year, 35,000 home care workers, disproportionately women of color, filed for a union election after enacting legislation in Michigan, winning collective bargaining rights for all of those workers. In May, 12,000 public service workers in Fairfax County, Virginia, won their union just a few years after repealing a decades-old ban on collective bargaining for public workers in the former capital of the Confederacy. Here's those Fairfax workers. In May, after weeks of sustained protest, union members and allies won SEIU member Ramesa Ozturk's release from detention. Just a couple of weeks ago, I was incredibly honored and proud to join hundreds of SEIU members from all over the country who got on buses for a powerful justice journey and converged on Louisiana to protest the ongoing detention of immigrants and others in that historically, the state that historically has been the center of racism and mass incarceration for so many years. It was very powerful. And the good news is union members are far from the only ones standing up. As many as 6 million Americans from all walks of life participated in the No Kings protest. I assume many of you, probably. Many of us on June 14th, possibly the largest one-day demonstration in the history of the United States. The truth is it may not feel like it, but there have been more people protesting in more places in the first 6 months of Trump 2.0 than occurred during the first 6 months of Trump 1.0. Even with the Women's March in 2017, they've just been more places and more dispersed, which is probably better. And by the way, No Kings may have broken the Women's March record for the biggest protest in a single day in the country. And it's also more than street protests. From boycotts of Target to protest the abandonment of DEI to Tesla takedowns to put pressure on Elon Musk, civil resistance is on the rise. Experts who have studied the fall of authoritarianism all around the world tell us that mass nonviolent resistance is the key to defeating autocracy. And it's happening in red states, in blue states, in purple states. So sisters, brothers, and siblings, we all have a role to play to take up the charge issued by the Homestead strikers 133 years ago to resist by, quote, every legal and ordinary means, end quote, necessary. Together, we can not only defeat authoritarianism and rebuild the labor movement, we can build a different future. You know, it's important not just to be against something, it's important to know what we're for. We can build a future where all people are respected, all people, no exceptions, regardless of race, zip code, gender identity, immigration status, or anything else, where all workers are valued regardless of what kind of work they do or where, and where all communities, none left behind, none exempted, none written out, all communities have the opportunity not just to survive, but to thrive. The future is truly in our hands. Yeah, all right. I'd like to close just by bringing the discussion home to Pittsburgh and introducing you to a couple of very special guests who have joined us with their families. There is no doubt that the Western Pennsylvania today is very different than the region that the Homestead workers knew in their day. Today, our economy is driven not by manufacturing anymore, but by eds and meds. The largest employer is not U.S. Steel, formerly Carnegie Steel, but UPMC. That's right. But the legacy of the Homestead workers' struggle against Andrew Carnegie continues. Over the last few years, for the first time, thousands of workers at the University of Pittsburgh, maybe some of them are here today, have organized wall to wall with, as it happens, the United Steelworkers Union, faculty, grad students, support staff, joined by workers at, yes, the Carnegie Library, and museum workers at, you guessed it, the Carnegie Museums. Nurses and hospital workers across the region have organized and made transformative progress toward their vision of a healthcare system for this region that puts people over profits. And just last May, a couple months ago, not even, nearly 1,000 registered nurses at UPMC McGee Women's Hospital took the historic step forward of filing for their union election. Let's hear it for those UPMC nurses. So if you'll bear with me, I'd love to turn it over for a couple of minutes to Lucy Rose, who is a neonatal nurse practitioner from the NICU at McGee, and Caroline Snyder, who is a nurse midwife from the birth center. Lucy and Caroline, come on up.
Hello everyone, thank you for being here today. My name is Caroline Snyder. I'm a midwife that works in labor and delivery and in the outpatient setting here in Homestead. I've been a midwife since April, but prior to that I was a labor and delivery nurse at McGee for 5.5 years. For me, unionizing is about improving maternal and infant health outcomes, not only in Allegheny County, but also across Western Pennsylvania. McGee's community is far-reaching, receiving transfers from all of Western Pennsylvania, parts of Central PA, Eastern Ohio, West Virginia, and parts of Southern New York. Currently, there are large disparities in health outcomes for birthing people and infants among communities, socioeconomic backgrounds, and race, a gap that needs to be closed. Most healthcare providers will tell you a solution, at least in part, is better access to care and appropriate staffing ratios. However, as healthcare providers, we beg and plead for these and are met with talks about budget and not about the actual care we are providing. When the talk does turn to patient care, it's often how can we become more efficient to fit more patients into our schedules or more tasks onto nurses in the day-to-day in their already busy schedules without relieving them of any other tasks. The nurses and APPs of McGee are standing up not only for better working conditions for us, but also fighting for better care for our community. Better maternal and infant outcomes start at day 1 of pregnancy and continue well past the 6-week postpartum visit, supporting nutrition, chronic disease management, education, socioeconomic and mental health needs of every single patient that walks through the doors of McGee. McGee is a place that is near and dear to my heart. It is the only place that I have worked since graduating college, and it is the place that I was born. The staff and the patients are what make it special, but it is hard to work in a place that will not logistically allow us to provide the level of care we want to and our patients deserve. The amount of support we have received from the community has been heartwarming and empowering. I always knew Pittsburgh was a strong union city. Pittsburgh has shown us that they have our backs, and we want the Pittsburgh community to know that the nurses and APPs at McGee have Pittsburgh's backs.
All right, I'm a little shorter. My name's Lucy Rose Ruscio. I'm a nurse practitioner in the NICU at McGee. My husband was born at McGee, and both of my loud sons were born there as well. We give incredible care at McGee. I'm so proud to work there. Yet that's often despite unsafe staffing. despite the bare bones benefits we receive, despite the subpar equipment and supplies. We're organizing because this community deserves to be cared for by nurses who are cared for. This community deserves a healthcare system that puts its staff and its patients above profits, above private jets and Super Bowl commercials, and certainly above overseas expansion. We never expected the nonprofit, UPMC, to make this easy, but man, are they putting us through it. They hired top-of-the-line, $1,000 an hour union avoidance lawyers, spending our community's taxpayer dollars on fear-mongering instead of on ensuring their staff have enough PTO to take advantage to stay home when they're sick. They're taking advantage of Trump's attacks on the National Labor Board, even suggesting that maybe we don't have the right to unionize at all. The suits in the Steel Tower don't want to hand over power, just like Carnegie and Frick didn't want to hand over their power. But united and with this incredible community behind us, we are more determined than ever to get to the bargaining table. This community support has been overwhelming. We've had hundreds of notes of support, photos, messages from the community, and not only does it bolster us, it scares the shit out of them. There are flyers on all of your seats. If you don't mind taking a look, there's ways that you can continue to support our fight. We really appreciate you having us here. Thank you so much.
What's your son's name? Gus. Let's hear it for Gus. And can we give it up one more time for Caroline and Lucy and the UPMC nurses? Turn it back to John. But I'll tell the truth. When I called up the organizers and I said, I've been asked to make these remarks, I think it'd be great if maybe some UPMC McGee nurses, if they're available, could come share their stories. And they did. And I asked John and Larry, could we take a few minutes to do that? They said they can. We'd love to. But the organizers said, we got a lot going on. We're pretty busy building the union, standing up to all this union busting. But I assured them that every single person that came to the Battle of Homestead 133rd commemoration would take that leaflet, post something on social media, go to the QR code, sign the support petition, go home with their families and take a picture telling a story about your care that you or a loved one has received at UPMC McGee. So you're going to back me up, right? So please do that. There's several different ways that you can show your support. As the nurses, Lucy and Caroline said, it means the world to them. And it's really important we show UPMC that we are united behind these nurses and behind all healthcare workers and behind all workers in this community to have the union and the justice that they deserve so they can provide the care and service that they prefer. So congratulations on your progress thus far. We know you'll get there. We appreciate you joining us. Back to you, Larry.
Again, thanks, Neal Bisno. Thanks for all of you. Many people have been working so hard over the years. We're going to have some entertainment coming up with the Raging Grannies. And then the Pittsburgh Labor Choir. And again, I believe you can actually join these groups. You don't have to have an advanced musical degree. You just have to have an interest in labor. And speaking of interest in labor, most of us probably have these little pocket computers, which we occasionally use as a telephone. Take them out right now. Just take them out. And I think you don't even need a Wi-Fi connection here. But go to your browser, Firefox, Safari, whatever they're giving us, and type in the words Pittsburgh Labor History Trail.org. Don't worry about www or anything. Pittsburgh Labor History Trail.org. I know everybody's, not equally digitally dexterous. And has it come up for anybody? Pittsburgh Labor History Trail. Well, that's a project that the Battle of Homestead Foundation has done this last year. We had some great effort and contributions from Carnegie Mellon University Department of Information Systems. Basically, we had students that did this for free. They took this book, which you can purchase on that table over there, called Labor History Sites in the Pittsburgh Region by Charles McCollister and Howard Scott. Let's give them a big hand for doing this research. And the Allegheny Federation of Labor Council in 2016, plus Battle of Homestead Foundation, published this antique artifact called an actual book. But these days, most people use these as their information. So we got these CMU students to put all that's in that book online on the Pittsburgh Labor History Trail.org. What we wanted, we're still adding more things because there's even more labor history sites than were in Charlie and Howard's book. We're going to start having meetups on the Pittsburgh Labor History Trail, all of Allegheny County, everywhere you are. You probably walk by several labor history sites every day and don't know it. You obviously know the Pump House, we know some other places, but labor history is just all over this county. It's in our, just not only our DNA, but literally in our environment. So that's our project. We're going to try and keep spreading the word, get more people involved and walk this trail with us who may not have any idea. And we just got our first significant contribution from the United Steelworkers, District 10, $1,000 to start marketing and start hiring some real technical help to really get this going. Thanks, Bernie Hall. And we're still fundraising, probably will be forever, as long as there's labor history to be made. But thanks a lot for coming today. John, do you want to make any remarks, or should we just have the Raging Grannies come up here? Let's have some music. Thanks again. Thanks Channel 11 for coming today and getting us on the news. So, yes, thanks a lot.
Can I just say one thing? Hi. Just 2 points of information. One is those of you who are in need of a restroom. It's outside in the round tower building. You have to access the inner part, and then you'll see a men's room and a women's room on either side. And the other thing is John mentioned our Wednesday morning breakfasts. These are really a wonderful time to get together with like-minded people to discuss the difficult issues of the day and to learn from each other about various events that you might not know about and strategize for how we can fight back in the current climate. That meeting is on Zoom, but the Zoom doesn't start at 8. That's my point of information. The Zoom doesn't start until 9. So if you can't be there in person, then you can join us by Zoom at 9 o'clock, and that is what we call a chaired sharing session, where we all get to talk about the issues that are important to us or in the news of that week. So give it a try. You'll find a link on the website, and just log in one morning and then you'll be hooked. All right, thank you so much.
Sure, we're always looking for more Raging Grannies. We have a new website, and it's easy, raginggrannies412.com. So if you know anybody, it's just a wonderful group to be associated with, and we're going to introduce ourselves now.
Oh, we're a gaggle of grannies, urging you off of your fannies. We're raising our voice, we want a new choice, no more war. With the starving wages they're paying, to workers sweating and slaving, the owners all thrive. Can workers survive? No more war. Whether it's dictators or terrorists to blame, war is not the answer. Bombs just kill and maim. So join this gaggle of grannies. Get up off of your fannies. We're telling you now, we're angry and how. No more war. We really mean it. No more war.
We mean precisely.
No more war.
We're tired of asking nicely.
No more war.
an honor to be here with you today, all the work that you've done for income equality and labor in Pittsburgh and really for the country. So we want to sing a song kind of to honor you.
Look around you, see the people who are working every day for the kind of world we all want, where healthy children laugh and play. A world with no more nuclear weapons, guns are banned and want is rare, where all races live together, everyone has good health care. Equal rights and equal wages, social justice on the earth, no pollution on the planet, a new world will come to birth. Look around you, see the people who are working every day for a world of peace and justice, where the grandkids laugh and play.
Well, we're the Raging Grannies. We don't always think things are going really well, but we do have a suggestion.
Listen to the women, hear our voices, study our lives and trust our choices. Work with a woman as she leads the way to peace. Take her hand and promise her you'll make the hate decrease. And listen to the women for a change. Listen to the women for a change. Listen to the women, hear our voices, study our lives and trust our choices. Listen to each woman as she tells of pain and hurt. Help her every way you can to work for peace on earth. And listen to the women for a change. Listen to the women for a change.
Well, we had to just pick one corporate greed song, but this is the one we picked.
I want to be a corporation, then how those profit bells will chime. I'll be a person who makes the country worsen. For taxes I won't pay a single dime. When I'm a full-fledged corporation, I'll break the law and not get fined. I'll buy the Supreme Court, they're my best cohorts, my partners in all sorts of crimes. You say I'm greedy and I want more. If you don't like it, well, there's the door. If I could be a corporation, I'd buy the candidates, you bet. I'd fix the voting, oh, I'd be gloating and pulling strings of people in my debt. You say I'm greedy and I want more. If you don't like it, well, there's the door. Hey, out there people, are you listening? They say big business cannot fail, but we're the dissenters. Let's get together and put those greedy bastards all in jail. And put those greedy bastards all in jail.
I'm good. Do you have it? Neal started off, his first theme was about immigrants, and we're going to finish up with that. I never knew 6 of the 7 martyrs were immigrants. That's something I'll talk to people about. And this is a song that we hope you'll join into the chorus. You'll know, you'll be able to catch that.
We need to wake up. We need to wise up. We need to open up our hearts and do it now, now, now. We need to build a more just future. and we need to start right now. Fight for fairness and more awareness. No more race bans or deport plans, do it now, now, now. We need to build a more just future, and we need to start right now. Immigration, it is a challenge, but it is one that we can meet and do it now, now, now. We need to build a more just future, and we need to start right now. We need to build a more just future, and we need to start right now.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, there's some song that lifts everybody's spirits. We've got even more. The Pittsburgh Labor Choir has been around for at least 5 years, and I think they rehearse every week at the Friends Meeting House on Ellsworth, and they've just been pretty much everywhere doing all kinds of awareness songs. Speaking of awareness, some people were asking what these were up at the table. These are bookmarks. Everybody seen these, the bookmarks? And on the back they have a QR code that allows you to do that QR code thing, and that goes directly to the Battle of Homestead Foundation PayPal account. So if anybody does feel inspired after hearing all this great music and drinking all the water from plastic water bottles and all the other merriment we've had, take these home. They're utilitarian, but as you're reading your book, your favorite volume, just you can also just, before you drop off to sleep, donate. I'm going to put that right there. Pittsburgh Labor Choir, here they are. Thanks.
So we're the Pittsburgh Labor Choir. Larry's right. We every Monday night at the Friends Meeting House, if you want to stop by. One of the guys who was in the choir went to the Heinz History Center, and they have that trolley down there, and he realized that they were playing this soundtrack, and he started listening. He said, "That is an awesome song." So he sat there and transcribed the thing for us. It was written by John Duss in 1900, and we're going to sing it in recognition of the fact that we have a big fight about public transit going on right now. So reach out to your state senators in particular. So, and I think people are handing out song sheets. I don't know, is this one on there?
Yeah.
It is.
They're all on there. Some of them just have limited information.
So,
I go away, we skim o'er the city highways, waking the quiet byways. Mine goes the gong, like a flash to and fro. On the trolley we go, while the swift wheels make music all along. Ding ding, the bell says, let's all be jolly, jolly. Joy rings aboard the trolley, speeding afar. And don't care flies away, and we're gay night and day, when we ride on the jolly, jolly car. Onward the car sweeps, onward with four small cannon curtains, and state mechanics sit in the throng, staging each one a dance for the papers to glance, while the swift wheels make music all along. Ding ding, the bell says, let's all be jolly, jolly. Joy rings aboard the trolley, speeding afar, and all care flies away, and we're gay night and day, when we ride on the jolly, jolly car. Granddames and grandsires, babies awake and scrappy, soldiers in suits of khaki, fresh from the war, rich and poor, high and low, they are all on the go, while the swift wheels make music all along. Ringing the bell says, let's all be on the jolly, jolly car.
So the next song is an example of a song called the Zipper Song. Oh, by the way, let's give one more hand for the Raging Grannies. And they will be coming back up at the end of our set to join us in solidarity forever. So, this is a Zipper Song to a vaguely recognizable tune. And we're going to do a couple of verses for you, and then we're going to ask you to become songwriters, as it were. So, what? Yeah. We'll get
Everybody healthcare when we win. We'll get everybody healthcare when we win. We'll get everybody healthcare. Everybody healthcare. We'll get everybody healthcare when we win. There'll be no more deportations when we win. There'll be no more deportations when we win. There'll be no more deportations. There'll be no more deportations. There'll be no more deportations when we win. We will all be one big union when we win. We will all be one big union when we win. We'll all be one big union. We'll all be one big union. We will all be one big union when we win. We'll send Elon Musk to Mars when we win. We'll send Elon Musk to Mars when we win. We'll send Elon Musk to Mars. Elon Musk to Mars. We'll send Elon Musk to Mars when we win.
Okay, Rose, it's your time to shine. What are we going to win? What are we going to win? Come on. You can do it.
Win now.
What? Right now? Huh?
You're going to win now.
We're going to, what are we going to, but what are we going to win? It's what?
Healthcare.
Healthcare. We did that one. We did that one. How about you, Neil? You got one? Something to win?
We're going to win justice.
We'll all win
Justice when we win. We will all win justice when we win. We will all win justice. We will all win justice. We will all win justice when we win.
Okay, now we're going to open up the floodgates. Everybody's got one now, right? Tom, got one? We will win racial justice
when we win. We will win racial justice when we win. We will win racial justice. We will win racial justice. We will win racial justice when we win.
Your last chance. We'll put Trump in jail
when we win. We'll put Trump in jail when we win. We'll put Trump in jail. We'll put Trump in jail. We'll put Trump in jail when we win.
So that's an example of what we call a zipper song, and you can, I've spent hours on picket lines singing the same song over and over again and just sticking in different words. So,
No, 2 pages. Can't be contained.
one of which is on the floor, but that's okay. So, there are lots of songs written about the Homestead strike. Some of them are unsingable in our, at least by us. We did find this one, so it's called Say Comrades, the Homestead Strike. And it was basically a transcript of a trial that happened after the strike. Comrades,
Did you hear about the total little bill that caused so much excitement at Carnegie's Homestead Mill? With model barges well equipped, Bill Rogers, Sly and Slick, stood Pinkerton assassins there employed by H.C. Frick. 6th of July, 92, just at the dawn of day, the Pinkerton marauders tried to land at Fort Vic Bay. 'Twas there bet their Waterloo from Vulcan's brawny sons. Reproach their every movement and silence all their guns. Some weeks before this tragic act, Carnegie went away to see the bank so Bonnie Doon that Wick might have his say. 'Twas then he wired to Pinkerton, I want 800 strong. 1 fee per day shall be the pay, so bring your thoughts along. A committee sat at Homestead to investigate the cause of H.C. Frick's tenacity on sumptuary laws. When asked to state the cost per ton of billets 4x4, had he been in a swearing room, I fancy he'd have swore. O'Donnell as a leader placed upon the stand, describe what you were doing when the vultures tried to land. I risked my life in treating men, for God's sake not to shoot, and for my gains, my Lovejoy, I was stigmatized a loot. Milwaukee as a witness proved that he'd been through the mill, and gave some sturdy pointers on the famed McKinley bill. He boldly intimated that where benefits accrue, they are not for the masses but the highly favored few. Judge Ewing was appointed to see justice hold the sway, and filled the bill admirably in an autocratic way. To construe the law to meet his views will very seldom fail. Officials strut around at large, the workmen go to jail. Crick's Northern election seems to say, I feel inclined to brag. I'll bust the amalgamation, now bring out the pirate's flag. The skull and crossbones now display to let the public know. The Union men have had their day, I'll give the scabs a show. The scabs, they are a filthy set, I can't discriminate. And though I ain't allowed to bet, I'll confidently state that with your shoulders to the wheel, they can't store Homestead maps. They'll see congenial quarters where they're not so rough on rats.
Whirlwinds of Danger. Okay, so the next song is comes to us from the 1905 revolution in Poland against the Tsarist autocracy, and since then it's been sung by Spanish Republicans in the Spanish Civil War. It's been sung all over the world as a sort of song of resistance and revolution. These English lyrics, I think, are from the 20s. This is Whirlwinds of Danger.
Whirlwinds of danger are raging around us, o'erwhelming forces of darkness assail. Still in the fight, see advancing before us, red flag of liberty that yet shall prevail. And forward, ye workers, freedom awaits you, o'er all the world, on the land and the sea. On with the fight for the cause of humanity. March, march, ye toilers, and the world shall be free. People of all lands in hunger are calling. Shall we be silent to their sorrow and woe? While in the fight, see our comrades are falling. Of men united and conquer the foe. And forward, ye workers, freedom awaits you, o'er all the world, on the land and the sea. On with the fight for the cause of humanity. March, march, ye toilers, and the world shall be free. On with the crown of the tyrants of favor, down in the dust with the prince and the peer. Strike off your chains, all you children of labor. Wait while humanity for victory is near. And forward, ye workers, freedom awaits you, o'er all the world, on the land and the sea. On with the fight for the cause of humanity. March, march, ye toilers, and the world shall be free.
So this is, I often think of this kind of music as tools that were left around by our ancestors, and we're trying to pick them up and keep using them. So this definitely qualifies as one of those. Gonna lay down
my sword and shield, down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. Gonna lay down my sword and shield, down by the riverside, and study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more, ain't gonna study war no more, ain't gonna study war no more. Study war no more, ain't gonna study war no more, ain't gonna study war no more. We're at a ceasefire now, from the sea to the riverside, from the sea to the riverside, from the sea to the riverside. We'll get a ceasefire now, from the sea to the riverside, and study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more, ain't gonna study war no more, ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more, ain't gonna study war no more, ain't gonna study war no more. Bombs will fall no more, from the sea to the riverside, from the sea to the riverside, from the sea to the riverside. Bombs will fall no more, from the sea to the riverside, and study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more, ain't gonna study war no more, ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more, ain't gonna study war no more, ain't gonna study war no more. Palestine will soon be free, from the sea to the riverside, from the sea to the riverside, from the sea to the riverside. Palestine will soon be free, from the sea to the riverside, and study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more, ain't gonna study war no more, ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more, ain't gonna study war no more, ain't gonna study war no more. Workers of all lands unite, from the sea to the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. Workers of all lands unite, down by the riverside, and study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more, ain't gonna study war no more, ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more, ain't gonna study war no more, ain't gonna study war no more.
Get as many on that page as I could.
Yeah. Yeah. Kira did the song sheet.
Yeah.
Yay, Kira.
Yay.
Yay, Kira. So this was one of the guys who helped start the choir was Ted Everhart. I believe that this is a Capo 3. Besides that, but this is an original with him.
Yeah.
The
tune isn't. The tune is an old. It's been used in several different ways over the years. But the English lyrics.
And it was inspired by the Post-Gazette stroke. He was up there in Butler blocking the
scabs.
Blocking the scabs.
Much like some other events we might know about.
Late at night, a hard rain is falling. At the gates, we're standing hand in hand. Though the losses would leave us all with nothing, won't be long till we win our demands. Though the losses would leave us all with nothing, won't be long till we win our demands. Every night they send the crops against us. More and more our friends will come around. The
one's Capo 5.
Yeah, but we're doing that one next.
Oh, we're doing that one next.
Also
So-
Capo 5. Also
that's
Capo
good,
5.
also good.
Convenient.
These are important instructions to the musicians in the crowd. So we're going from 1 sharp to no sharps for the musicians in the crowd.
Hold out your hand, let us be together. Hold out your hand, let us be together. I was a stranger, and you welcomed me. Hold out your hand, let us be together. Here at the pump house, let us be together. Here at the pump house, let us be together. I was a stranger, and you welcomed me. Here at the pump house, let us be together. Out in the streets, let us be together. Out in the streets, let us be together. I was a stranger, and you welcomed me. Out in the streets, let us be together. Open the border, let us be together. Open the border, let us be together. I was a stranger, and you welcomed me. Open the border, let us be together. Stop all the bombing, let us be together. Stop all the bombing, let us be together. I was a stranger, and you welcomed me. Stop all the bombing, let us be together. Don't be afraid, let us be together. Don't be afraid, let us be together. I was a stranger, and you welcomed me. Don't be afraid, let us be together.
All right. So the next one I wrote, and it started coming to me on November 6th of last year for some reason. And yeah, so it's called Fight Like Hell, and it's one that tells us what we can do going forward.
It's also Capo 5 for the musicians.
All of the years to come, for all of the years to come, for all of the years to come. That's why we fight like hell. No matter how deep the dread, there's hope in this world as well. And while you mourn the dead, stay alive to fight like hell. And whatever you need at the clinic, whatever you need at the clinic, whatever you need at the clinic, that's why we fight like hell. No matter how deep the dread, there's hope in this world life to fight like hell. You will plant that garden. You will plant that garden. You will plant that garden. That's why we fight like hell. No matter how deep the dread, there's hope in this world as well. And while you mourn the dead, stay alive to fight like hell. For everyone younger than us, for everyone younger than us, for everyone younger than us. That's why we fight like hell. No matter how deep the dead, there's hope in this world as well. And while you mourn the dead, stay alive to fight like hell. No nos moverán. No nos moverán. No nos moverán. That's why we fight like hell. No matter how deep the dead, there's hope in this world as well. And while you mourn the dead, stay alive to fight like hell.
I think we got two more here. We got one more, and then we'll bring the Grannies back up if they're still here. They haven't melted.
Ooh, not so sure about us at this point.
Yeah, really. Is this capo anything? No.
Nope.
No capo on this. One chart.
And this song was part of the labor struggle of the formation of the United Auto Workers throughout the New Deal era. They engaged in a lot of these formative sit-down strikes, and this is a song of that kind
Of that here, telling that story.
Yes.
When a good
Comrade gets treated bad, sit down, sit down. When he goes to the side, they'll take them back, sit down, sit down, sit down, just take a seat, sit down and rest your feet, sit down, you gotta meet, sit down, sit down. When they smile and say no raise in pay, sit down, sit down. When you want the boss to come across, sit down, sit down, sit down, just take a seat. Sit down and rest your feet. Sit down, you've got a meet. Sit down, sit down. Sit down, sit down. When you want them to know, they better go slow. Sit down, sit down, sit down. Just take a seat. Sit down and rest your feet. Sit down, you've got a meet. Sit down, sit down. When the boss won't talk, he'll take a walk. Sit down, sit down. When the boss sees that, he'll want to chat. Sit down, sit down, sit down, just take a seat. Sit down and rest your feet. Sit down, you've got a meet. Sit down, sit down.
All right. So we're going to end up with, again, a vaguely recognizable tune. We have a few verses we're going to do, and then we're going to invite the Grannies. Are they still here? Raise your hand, Grannies. Okay, yeah.
We're going to keep up. This song is so recognizable that we're singing two songs with the same tune. So we're going to do one.
Well, really, like three. We're mashing up, so if you know John Brown's Body, we're mashing up two versions of John Brown's Body. And I see that you've all been singing along throughout, but there's a real participatory part here for the chorus. If you'd like to sing the Glory, Glory, Hallelujahs with us, it's only 2 words, and we hope you will. And we might be singing something different, but it sounds nice. Yeah. Also, we're the Pittsburgh Labor Choir. If you like singing along with us, we hope that you'll join us some Monday. You can join virtually or in person. Mondays at 6:30. We sing at the Friends Meeting House on Ellsworth Avenue in Shadyside. And if you'd like to join virtually, you can get on our email list and we'll share a link with you.
Virginia till she trampled through and through. They hanged him for a traitor, they themselves a traitor crew, for his soul is marching on. John Brown, he has a strap upon his back. John Brown, he has a strap upon his back. John Brown, he has a strap upon his back. His soul is marching on. Now you who fight for freedom, you must strike while strike you may. The death blow of oppression in a better kind of way. The dawn of John Brown's vision has now brightened in today. His soul is marching on. Davis from a sour apple tree, they will hang Jeff Davis from a sour apple tree. They will hang Jeff Davis from a sour apple tree. His soul will go to hell. John Brown's body lies a moldering in the grave. John Brown's body lies a moldering in the grave. John Brown's body lies a moldering in the grave. His soul is marching on.
Okay, Grannies. Where are the Grannies?
Yay.
We're going to sort of
Segue.
vamp while you come up, you know. There's only two of you left. All right. Cheer for the Grannies. Woo! All right. You all know this one, and I don't know. I think it's better sung standing up.
If anyone has the
If you got the
energy.
guts, yeah. When the union's
Inspiration through the workers' blood shall run. There can be no power greater anywhere beneath the sun. Yet the force on earth is weaker than the feeble strength of one. But the union makes us strong. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. For the union makes us strong. Is there aught we hold in common with the greedy parasite who would lash us into serfdom and would crush us with his might? Is there anything left to us but to organize and fight? For the union makes us strong. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. For the union makes us strong. They have taken untold millions that they never told to earn, but without our brain and muscle, not a single wheel can turn. We can break their awing power, they are freedom when we learn that the union makes us strong. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. For the union makes us strong. Near our hands is placed a power greater than their hoarded gold, greater than the might of armies magnified 1,000-fold. We can bring to birth a new world from the ashes of the old, for the union makes us strong. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. For the union makes us strong. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. For the union makes us strong.
Thank you very much.
Let's hear it for the Labor Choir and the Grannies. Thank you, everybody. We have another important person in the meeting with us today, and I'd like to ask her to come up and give us her greetings. She's a former Homestead steel worker who served as the mayor of Homestead for many years, only retiring the last couple of years. And this is Betty Esper, a legend here in Homestead. Betty said, "Who are all those people in masks? Is it ice?"
I think I was born in 1892. I am 92, so take 18 off. But anyway, I worked for 36 years at U.S. Steel. I was 51 when I lost my job. I went out of business. I was working with my boss, and we were in charge of shutting down the plate mills. And I almost tell everybody, when I walked out of the mill, I didn't have nobody to say goodbye to. Because they were all gone, and I'm going driving out all by myself. But I am a union person, to the point where if I go into dining or anywhere else, I go to the payout line. I never put my stuff on there and do it myself. I'm too lazy anyway. And that's how you protect your jobs. Because every time they have one of those machines there, somebody lost their job. So, and I can tell you I was on strike for 6 months. In what year? 1959 or 65, whichever it was. But, you know, I did the walking, the strike walking. I even made the front page of the Pittsburgh Press with my sign walking out front. And then the next day I went to El Paso to visit my sister. But anyway, I wish you all luck. But Dr. Newman, we have nothing today. Thank you.
Everyone, thanks for coming today, and really appreciate your bearing with us in the heat. It was great. Really appreciate it. Thanks very much. Thank you.